Hi guys, in the last video I showed you how to make the pattern for this dress, and in this tutorial I am going to show you how to sew this dress together. Now as you can see, I have cut out my pattern on my fabric and I left seam allowance right here at the top to turn with my lining, and also seam allowance at the side to join my fronts together. All the seam allowances are 1/2 inch. Now I placed my interfacing on my pattern and I cut it straight down to my underbust area. The interfacing I am using is called soft wadding, and here is my front pattern that I have cut on my fabric, and I also left seam allowance at the top and also at the sides, 1/2 inch seam allowance, so as to join my fronts together and also turn with my lining. And also I cut out interfacing for the front, and also I made sure it got to the underbust area. And also you need to make sure that your center front is cut on fold. As you can see, my fabric is folded for the center front, and also I cut out my lining the same way. Now this way you have one center front and two front sides. And here is my back pattern, which I have cut on my fabric. For the zip part, I cut out 2 of my fabric and also 2 of my lining, and I did the same for the side back. And I also left 1/2 inch seam allowance at the sides and also at the top, so as to join these 2 pieces together and also turn with my lining. Now place the good sides of your center back and also the side back together and join by the seam allowance you left. I am going to join by 1/2 inch all the way up to the bottom, and I am also going to do the same for this other back piece, and I am going to join the good sides together, and I am going to join and sew by 1/2 inch, and I'm also going to do the same for my lining. Now for the front fabric, place your interfacing and stitch or iron. I'm going to stitch this down at the edges. Now once you're done doing that, next thing you're going to do is, as you can see, I am done. I'll just place the good sides of the center front and the good sides of the side front and join it together by 1/2 inch from top to bottom. And I am also going to do the same for this other part. I'll just join and place the good sides together and join it by 1/2 inch all the way down. Now as you can see, once you're done doing that, you should have this. Now as you can see, I have stitched my center front to my side fronts on my lining part. Now next thing I am going to do right now is to mark my zipper seam allowance. The zipper seam allowance I placed while drafting my pattern is 1.5 inches, and that is what I am placing on my fabric. Now I will place the good sides of my back fabrics together, and I'll place my zipper, and this is where I want my zipper to end, and I will mark same 1.5 seam allowance for zip all the way down, and from this point I would stitch all the way down, and I would also do the same for my back lining. Now as you can see, I am done with my stitches, and this opening right here is going to be where my zipper is going to sit, and this zipper seam allowance mark I placed is going to be my sewing guideline mark, and I'm just going to place my zipper on that line and pin. Now once I am done pinning, I'll just go on my sewing machine and make my stitches from right here to right here, and I will just go in and pin this also, and once I am done pinning, I would also make my stitches. Now, as you can see, I am done sewing in my zipper, and this is what it is looking like right now. Now, next thing we're going to do is to join the good sides of the front to the good sides of the back. And now we're going to go in and mark the seam allowance we placed on our fabric. And once you're done marking that, you're going to go in and stitch from the armhole part to the bottom of your dress. Now you're also going to do the same for your lining piece. Join the sides of the side seam allowance, and also make sure you do the same for the other side. Once you're done stitching, open up your fabric like this. Now place the good sides of your lining to the good sides of your fabric, and we're going to join the lining to the fabric at the shoulder part to the armhole. Once you're done making your stitches, remember to make your notches so that your fabric will lay flat and nice. Now on the zipper part, using my thumb, I will just figure out where the teeth of my zipper is, and I will just pin very close to the teeth of my zipper all the way to where my zip ends. Now next thing you're going to do is you're going to go in and make your stitches all the way from top to where the zip ends, or you can as well follow the guideline of the former stitch. And we are also going to do the same for this other part. Just go in and pin and make sure to avoid the teeth of your zipper. Now, as you can see, I am done stitching, and this is what the inner part of my dress looks like. And you can see how neat everything looks. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold the hem of the lining. I am going to double fold this twice, and I'm going to pin, and I will pin all the way. I will double fold all the way around and also pin this all the way around. And once I am done doing this, I will stitch this all the way around and do the same for my fabric. Now for the shoulder ruffles, I am going to be using this soft stay interfacing, and you can totally skip this part. I am using interfacing because I want mine to have a little bit of stand and stamina to it. And as you can see, I have ironed my interfacing on the fabric I am using. The length of the fabric I am using is 145 inches, and the width I am using is 20 inches. And another thing I will be using is my elastic band. The very smallest elastic band you can find would work very well for this. And you can totally skip this part. This is totally optional. You can decide not to use this elastic band to create ruffles. Now I will just pull my elastic band like this, and I will make sure I stitch on it, and I would also keep pulling this elastic band, and I'll keep stitching, and I will keep doing this till I get to the end. Now, as you can see, I am done putting in the elastic band, and next thing I am going to do right now is I am going to start pleating from this end, and I'll pleat all the way to the end. And I would also do the same to this other side. I would pleat all the way to the end of my fabric. Now, as you can see, we are done making our pleats, and I am going to measure these and see that I have exactly 45 inches. 45 inches, remember in the pattern, while we were making the pattern, we took around the shoulder measurement, that is from the front shoulder to the back. shoulder circumference is 45 inches for me, and I have measured and see that I have exactly 45 inches each. Now next thing I am going to do is I'm going to measure my back shoulder, which is 5.5, and I'm going to measure my armhole, as you can see. Now next thing I am going to do is I am going to measure that on my pleated fabric. Now I will first of all measure that 5.5 inches on my fabric, and I would mark that out. And next thing I am going to do is I'm going to measure that armhole I measured on my fabric, and I'm going to divide that by 2, and I just placed that on my fabric also. Now I would also make notches so as to know where my armhole is. Now place this over like this, and next thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch that armhole part. We're going to stitch it closed, and we're also going to take that measurement at the end of this fabric also. Take that 5.5 for the back shoulder and mark. Now divide your armhole by 2 and place your notches, and also fold this over and stitch. And once you're done stitching, just turn this out. Now open up your dress like this, and now we're going to place this pleated fabric to the lining, good sides together, and we're going to stitch, and we're going to also place this over like this, and we're going to stitch, and we're going to go on our sewing machine and make our stitches. Now before you start making your stitches, make sure to fold about 1/2 inch over like this, so as to have a folded edge. Now start placing your stitches. Also remember to fold in half over so as to have a folded edge. Now as you can see, the inside is looking neat, as you can see. Now we're going to fold this over the rough edge of this pleated fabric. We're going to fold it over like this, and we're going to start making our stitches all the way to the other end. Now I will just go off the camera and finish the rest off. Just fold in over and make your stitches on top of this. Now at this edge, just fold in the rough edges, and you're just going to fold it over like this, very close to your zipper, and stitch this down, and we're done. And here is the finished look, guys. If you like this video, please do give this video a thumbs up, and just subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and see you in more videos to come. Bye.